Hi everyone, Julian here today. I'm going to be showing you how to make hard rave techno, LAVEN, B2, Blicz style. As usual, you can get the full project files, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this video is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely don't miss out. Go grab this. It's a really high quality template, and plus it really helps me. I really don't make a whole lot off of YouTube. I've put a ton of work into these videos though, so if you enjoy these and if you want to keep seeing more and keep learning from them, definitely go grab this project file. Link is at the top of the description. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. And let's dive in. Alright, so we're at 146 BPM, a bit faster already for the style, but I think it gives you like a little bit of a heavier groove. Like if we play just the drums here, and then if I go down to like, let's say, 138, it's a different groove, but I think like 146 or like that upper 140s, it just really makes it bounce like that, right? And the first thing we got here is the sidechain, actually. Just a little short kick. Like I literally just took a little beginning of it, and then we're sidechaining everything to that. And then we have the kick. Now this kick is 4 layers. So we have our punch, which is this new kick I made for this video. It's just this like big, fat, hard techno kick. No processing on that, right? We really don't need it because it's just a good sample already. I have this punch 2, which is actually that same kick, but being basically high pass and then distorted. So here's the kick on its own, and then with the layer. So you can hear how that adds that punch. And this is a great technique, using the same sample, but then just processing it a little bit to create the layer rather than layering in another sample, because this is already going to be perfectly lined up with the other kick. It's going to have the same phase, all that kind of stuff. You're not going to run into all these little issues, and you can create something that's going to punch a lot harder. Then we have the rumble, which is the same kick. However, we are using the kind of like stretch rumble method and then some multi-band distortion. So yeah, we're taking the kick, we're warping it, we're stretching it out all the way. You can see I literally can't push that any further. So it's just this big vroom, vroom, vroom. And then, so we're starting with that. And then we have some multi-band distortion. So we're distorting the highs, which you can kind of like barely hear. The mids, you can get that nice like vroom, vroom, vroom. And then the lows to this bass amp to just fatten them up a little. So then we have this EQ8. You could honestly turn this off if you wanted to, or just turn off the high cut maybe. You can see we're taking just the lows and the mids, and then also we're cutting up to 40 hertz to cut out some mud and stuff that you wouldn't really hear. We're converting this to mono, and then we're just sidechaining it to that sidechain. And then the last layer for the kick is this crunch, which is that same stretched out kick. This time though, we're just sort of band passing it using this EQ here, distorting it with amp, sidechaining it, and then another band pass at the end. Which, yeah, you can hear what that does. And then on the kick group, there is a low high pass at 36 hertz, stuff that you wouldn't hear that would just make your mix muddier. We have a limiter pushing the kick together. You can hear when we turn that off and then turn it back on again, there's a nice difference. It really does beef the kick up and kind of glue all the layers. And then a utility converting into mono one more time at the end just to make sure that there's no weird stereo stuff happening. And then we have the hi-hat. So this is made with 2 layers. We have this one, like a nice 909 open hi-hat, but you can hear it's a bit thin on its own, so we're layering it with this guy, this. And then when you put those together, you get the best of both worlds. Then we have our clap, and what this is, it's a 909 clap that we are compressing and then distorting. And that's the secret, is the compression, because when you hear this, obviously, you probably would just think, distorted clap. But it's because you compress it, because if we just distort it, like if I turn the compressor off, and then on. So that's how you really get the like snare out of it, like the. So here's the original sample. And compression to get that, and then overdrive. And that's just gonna sit really nicely on top of the kick too, like that groove of doom. It's very powerful. Then we have the percussion. So you can hear this is kind of filling in the background, right? We have all these main drums so far. And then this is going to make up the whole groove. So it starts with this rave loop. This is one of mine for my ultimate hard techno drum library. And I'm just taking it, I'm high passing it, and then side chaining it a little too. So it doesn't clash with the clap or with the kick. Then we have this. This is one of these drum racks from Ableton over here that you can just grab from the sidebar that you should have if you have Ableton. And I basically just grabbed one of these. And you can see it's making all this little background percussion. Like if you hear it with the clap, you can kind of tell. Right, and so what this is doing also, you can hear it kind of like fills in the rave loop a little bit too. So what it is, it's those percussive hits. And then we're basically using a combination of filtering, delay, and distortion to create something interesting. So we got a high pass, and then we're delaying it, right? But then we're distorting that. And then we have this low pass filter, which also has its own distortion on too. And it also has this LFO on eighth notes. So now you're getting the rhythm of the notes that are being played in the drum rack, but also the rhythm of this filter. Like here, that's. So we got that, and then plus the delay going into it and the amp are going to give it, well, the delay is going to give it some rhythm, the amp gives it some texture, and then this is just working with that. And then we just have a high pass at the end to make sure there's no weird stuff. We have this little hi-hat, which is a hi-hat going into a ton of reverb, and you can hear it just plays like on the, kind of with the main hi-hat. Right, once every 2 bars. So it's super reverb, but then it's being sidechained, so you get a nice like kind of groove from that. We have a high pass filter on that, and then the last drum is just this, which is just a 16-note hi-hat. I chopped it out of a loop, actually, you can see. And there you go, no processing on the percussion group. Then we have the lead. Now, for this, what we're doing is if you actually look at the notes here, you know, it's just a lot of really C sharp and D. And then here we add in E and F. And an E up there, right? You know, actually pretty simple. You can see it's just this little pattern of like these two. And then those two. But what we're doing is for most of it, we're just grooving between those first two, the C sharp and D. And then it goes up to that at the end to kind of like transition it into the next part, right? But the thing about this is really like the note length. You know, all of these are like slightly different lengths. And you can see if I just make them all like the same. So you don't have nearly as much groove as. Right, so you really want to play with the note length on these and really like check each one and see if you can get more groove out of it. For the sound, it's made with wavetable, so it's a saw wave, and then it's this fifth brutal wave as well. You can see those just have a bit of shimmer unison on them. And then we're using a utility to make sure it's not like too wide actually, because if you don't have this on, it's not quite as punchy and it doesn't fit in as well. So we got that, we got a bit of delay, high pass, a bit of distortion, here's without it. And And with it, it's only at 29% wet, but you can see it does a lot for like the tonal qualities of the sound. And then we're side chaining it. Then we have this vocal. And I'll actually show you all three of these layers together, right? The vocal, the wavetable, and the bell. These are basically kind of meant to sit over top of that lead and just come in and out and not be like right up front, but also kind of like contrast the elements that are right up front. And you can see it's kind of like all three of these come together to create one groove. So for the vocal, it's this vocal sample. I'll play it for you. She's like, music. And I just took that one, pitched it down a bunch, reverb, distortion after the reverb, and a very important high pass filter, because if you don't have that, listen to what it sounds like. It would like, I mean, it has like a rumble in it. It would clash with your bass. Then for this wavetable, so I made this little arp here. It's actually only 2 notes though. It's just C sharp and D across a few different octaves, which actually can be pretty catchy. You know, a lot of people don't realize when you hear an arp that sounds very complex, yet somehow catchy, a lot of times it's just because it's only actually 2 notes across different octaves. So it only registers as like, it's not that much information for your brain to take in, so it sounds very catchy. Right, so we're doing that. This is just this wavetable patch with this pulse dual. You can see I've got a bit of an envelope on the oscillator position as well as the oscillator warp down here. Kind of making it punchier. There's what that envelope looks like. I've got a bit of unison. And then some echo. Distortion after that, high pass, and then a sidechain. And then the last layer, the bell. So this, I took this sample, right? Like you would actually never really think that that would turn into that. But all it is I took that, I pitched it down a bit. I think it's just playing like a very, yes, he's playing a very low note on the MIDI. And then I stretched it as well. So if you don't stretch it, see, you don't quite get, when I turn the stretching back on, that's how you really get that like fat, like full bell sound, right? And then we got a bit of reverb, 2 overdrives actually. So here's with just the first, well, without anything. Yeah, it's pretty tame. And then with the first one, and then the second one. There we go. And then just a high pass filter at the end, and there we go. So that's gonna be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets. The entire template is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely don't miss out, guys. This is one of the best hard techno templates on the market. Plus, it really helps support me. If you guys enjoyed these videos and you want to see more, definitely go grab this so I can keep going and keep showing you guys new techniques every single day. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow with another video.